Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Sheritz, and I am recording our next module, which is Module 6. I am not showing my video because it's a day off for me, and I'm still in my pajamas. So today, and I also thought you might want to see a bigger screen this time, so hopefully this will be good. Okay, so I want to talk to you about where we've been and where we're going. So, of course, this class is advanced methods of teaching language arts. I'm sorry, advanced foundations in literacy. Said the wrong name. And so far at the very beginning, just kind of going to go back to where we've been, and we've talked about characteristics of scientifically based literacy. And I wanted you to do that because I wanted you to know what makes something scientifically based. And that's kind of the foundation. Then we talked about literacy theories, because that's an important part. You need to know the theory behind the practice. Then all of you guys you wrote a paper about your theories. Then you taught a lesson about that. We got into Module 3, looking at early childhood and what's best for early childhood education. In Module 4, you looked at trauma and how we can help those students that have experienced trauma. And then you completed an article, insights, resources, and application paper. And then this last week, we looked at applying scientifically based research to meet the needs of struggling readers. And so as you can see, we're kind of looking at different, this is advanced foundations, and we're trying to figure out all the different interventions that we can do for kids, which ones work, which ones don't. This week is I think it's an interesting topic. I hope you will too. We're going to be looking at applying scientifically based research to digital resources in literacy instruction. We are in an age where we use digital literacy all the time. So what works and what doesn't? So our objectives, we want to evaluate the effectiveness of digital resources, recommend effective digital resources, defend the use of a digital resource. And then this week, we're also going to be writing your literature review. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. And so let's go to what you're going to be reading. Sorry, I'm on the wrong. Paper here. Okay, here we go. So you have a couple of articles that you're going to be reading. And I'm going to show you those up here. So we have 3 articles. And then there's some videos on how to do your literature review. But I'm going to open up these articles. So here's one of the articles. All of these articles are about digital literacy. Now, the first one, it's very, this will be an article you're going to scan. You're not going to read every little part of it. So you're going to be scanning it. But basically, this is a technology-based reading intervention program, and it is a review of all these different digital programs. So you're actually reading a research project that was a literature review, okay? And so this was a literature review. You could actually do a literature review as a research project. And it's showing you all the different articles that they looked at. And man, it's a lot. And then they, as a result, they had 42 different studies that met the criteria. They divided these studies into phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, comprehension to see the results. So just as an example, here we have a program that they looked at, the Lindamood Phoneme Sequencing Program for Reading, Spelling, and Speech. And it gives you the results of that program. It looks aerobotics, I hope I'm saying that right. It gives you the results of that. So it's just all these different programs that are Lexia, that's a pretty popular program, Game, and it tells you if these programs worked or not. So, and you're going to need this for your discussion post. You have another article, and this article is all about what research has revealed about readers struggling with comprehension in digital age, moving beyond phonics and whole language debate. So this is an interesting article that talks about comprehension in digital literacy. And I think you'll be surprised in what you read here, but a lot of this has to do with the fact that there are some, I think what you're going to see is there are some aspects of reading that digital literacy can help, and then there's others that not as much. And then the last article is called Literacy Skills in Online Research and Comprehension. Struggling readers face difficulties online. So 3 articles. Now, what do you do with that? Well, what I want you to do, and this week is a heavy lift because last week I didn't give you as much of an assignment because I wanted you to kind of, hopefully you got ahead. So let's look at your discussion post first. So for your discussion post, after reading the articles, and again, these are going to be articles that, at least the first one, you're really going to scan because I want you to find one digital program that you're interested in reviewing. And then you're going to go to What Works Clearinghouse and read about that report. And then on a video, you're going to explain, would you recommend the program, the digital program? Why would you recommend it or why would you not? And defend your endorsement, okay, from what you learned. So you may say, okay, what is What Works Clearinghouse? Well, I sent you the link. Here we go. So I'm going to go to What Works Clearinghouse. This is going to be a good tool if you are a person that makes decisions about literacy. Now, I'm just going to go to Accelerated Reader because that's something that I have looked at a lot in my life. I'm going to go to Accelerated Reader and I'm going to go to the intervention report. Now, I will say a lot of these reports are not as current as I would like to be, but we have what we have. As if you live in the United States, you know that the Department of Education is being dissolved, and What Works Clearinghouse is a part of the Department of Education. So I'm not really sure what's going to be happening to sites like this. We will have to see. So What Works Clearinghouse, Accelerated Reader. Now, first of all, so most of you, if you do not know what Accelerated Reader is, it is extremely popular in the United States. Students take a test. Based on that test, they are assigned a Lexile level, and then they are to read books on that Lexile level, and then there's a quiz, and students can get points based on how hard the book is, the Lexile score, how many pages the book is, etc. Usually there are points and so forth assigned with it. So that tells us what Accelerated Reader is, and it gives you a little bit of a background of Accelerated Reader. It says involves a dedicated 30 to 60 minute block of reading practice. So it, according to this, it requires quite a bit of time. It always gives you the amount of what it costs. So let's look at this. And this is what I want you to kind of key in on, and not just Accelerated Reader, but a lot of these. So it says that there is a total of 318 studies reviewed by What Works Clearinghouse on the effects of Accelerated Reader. One study was randomized, and remember we talked about that is high quality research that meets WWC evidence standards. One study is a quasi-experimental design that meets the evidence standards with reservations. The remaining 316 studies do not meet either WWC evidence standards or eligibility screens. So I want you to see this, not just Accelerated Reader. A lot of what I want you to see is they will report, well, we have research that shows that this works, but then when you dig into it, is it valid research? And so we can see only 3 studies that meet it or kind of meet it, partially meets it. So then it goes into telling you about those 3 studies. And if you're interested, you can even download each study. So it has a summary of reviewed 318 studies. 1 study met the evidence, and 1 study meets evidence standards with reservations. So it's only 2, sorry. The remaining do not. Based on the 2 studies, What Works Clearinghouse found no discernible effects on reading fluency and comprehension for adolescent learners. The conclusions presented may change as new research emerges. That's the overall findings of it. So it talks about outcomes for the domains. And then you can go down here and you can actually see the 2 studies if you're interested in them down here. Sorry. I would hope they would be down here. I think they're down here. Maybe I'm wrong. So I wanted you to see that because, and then when you, again, okay, here's the appendices. This must be the other one that has the different studies. Yeah. And so this has the specific studies, and you can look at it yourself and determine, but it kind of gives you a summary. So here is the overall 2 studies that met the standards. 57 eligible studies were reviewed, and then it gives you the races, ethnicity. It tells you like what percent were free and reduced launches and so forth. So I wanted to show you that, this program is used all over the United States. But yet there's not a lot of research that shows that it's even effective. But yet we still use it. Now, does it say that it's going to hurt kids? No, it doesn't say it's going to hurt kids, but I think you have to kind of look at the research. You have to look at the time invested, and then you have to decide if it's something that you're going to do. Another program that's mentioned in the article that I've used actually as an administrator was the Read 180 program. And so you can look up here and it gives you the impact. You can download the intervention report, and that will tell you about Read 180, if it's a good program, did it help? And this program did have some positive effects. So I wanted to show you this. So for one of your assignments, you're going to pick a digital literacy. There's tons mentioned in the article. Not all of them will be in What Works Clearinghouse. So do your best to find one that's mentioned in What Works Clearinghouse. Or if you can't find it, but you can find other research and you want to use a program that's not in What Works Clearinghouse, but you have found some research to show the effectiveness of it, I'm okay with that too. But I want you, many times we assume that something is reliable and valid just because the school district is using it. And I think sometimes kids are using programs that maybe are not effective. In your reading, I think one thing that you're going to find is that a lot of what we know about using computers, gamification, gaming can be very motivating. And there are some aspects of reading that computers can help. And so I want you to look at the research, for example, phonics. There's a lot that students do with phonics and learning the alphabet, but there are some parts of reading that really lags, like vocabulary, and even some parts of comprehension. Computer programs can assess comprehension. That's what Accelerated Reader does. It does assess it. And there are a lot of other programs that assess it, but do they teach kids comprehension? That's where they need a teacher to teach them, right? So that's the first assignment that you're going to have. And then the second assignment is your literature review. So you are to pick it can be anything that we've studied: early literacy, trauma, struggling readers, digital literacy, diverse populations. Now, you have to narrow this focus. So, for example, I talked to someone about struggling readers, and they're going to do interventions for dysgraphia. I talked to someone that they think they're going to work on, what are interventions for kids with dyslexia. You might be interested in trauma responsive literacy interventions for students that have high ACEs, or maybe if we have some early childhood folks, maybe you want to look at some interventions or some reading related to emergent literacy. Now, the first thing I want to acknowledge is that the page number, there's some conflict or some discrepancy in page numbers. I will do my best to get that fixed. I cannot fix this site directly. I have to put in a request. The page number for this paper is going to be 8 to 10 pages. That includes your title page and your reference. So if you think of 8 to 10 pages, including your title page and your references, that would mean like 6 to 8 typed pages, okay? So just wanted to review that. Now, what is a literature review? Well, a literature review is you have to do for I've had to do literature review for grants. Every article I've ever published, the first thing you do is you always do a literature review to back up what you're saying. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a program. Sorry, I went blank here for a minute. I'm going to show you something that you may be able to use that will help you with your literature review. So I'm going to send this to all of you guys, and you can, it's up to you if you want to use it, but it's just a simple Excel sheet that I created. So I'd like you to have at least 8 research articles about your topic. And so this is something I use when I write a literature review. And so here I'm going to put the APA information about the article. I'm going to put the research design, my key findings over here, implications for practice, how does it connect to other studies, and then maybe some quotes that I would like to add and some key terms. Once I have done that for all 8 articles, now I can begin writing my paper. So I'm going to, of course, have an introduction. I'm going to have a conclusion. I would create an outline, and then what I don't want to see is summary of an article, summary. I want you to synthesize the research to write your paper. So I would do an outline first. If you don't want to use this Excel sheet, you don't have to, but I use this Excel sheet, and then I do my outline and I highlight parts of my paper. So let's say that you were going to do your literature review related to, maybe you decided you wanted to do it on accelerated reader, okay? You might look at some of the research that looked at comprehension, and you would highlight those studies in one color, and then maybe you're going to look at the other the articles that looked at fluency, and you're going to look at those two, and you're going to highlight those, and then you will write the entire paper. So you don't have to use this, but I would recommend it just as a way to help you kind of synthesize your information. So in conclusion, I'm going to go back to our beginning of our post here. Just tell you what you're going to be, reminding you what you're going to do today. You have your 2 assignments. One is going to be your discussion post, in which you are going to think about one. Sorry, I'm going to go over here. You're going to go to look at one digital resource, and you're going to see what the research says about that. And you're going to do a video about, would you recommend it or would you not recommend it, and why? the big assignment is your literature review. And guys, narrow that topic down. It's going to be 8 to 10 pages. That includes your title page and your references. Okay, got a lot. No, you got a lot to do this week, but you are on week 6, only 2 more weeks after this, and you will be done. Hope everyone has a great week and hope you learned a lot in this module. Thank you.